All right, should be live. Should be all good to go. Broadcasting live from Houston, Texas, talking about this Xfinity Series race at Daytona launches in, or locks in rather, in an hour and 13 minutes, from what I can tell. AJ, the race did not get moved up, at least from today. I have not seen it get moved up today. Sorry, playing the 4. Can't help it. They're allowing me in that because they changed it this year with what contest people can enter. And 3, damn, Daniel, that's wicked wild because everybody I've talked to agrees that this is probably the most piss poor contest we could have had. We are collectively pretty pissed off that this isn't a 20,000 to win. The truck isn't a 20,000 to win. F1 is the second biggest contest of the week. And like that's disappointing all around. This contest filled the main 10 filled like an hour and 50 minutes ago. I mean, we could have easily had a 20,000 to win, 11,000 person contest day, and we did not get that. Secondly, the second 10, I mean, if you guys want to play esports at on a Friday for an Xfinity Series race, go right ahead. But that is what we're playing for on a majority of the esports contests at 4 a.m. 700 people, 138 payout, 2K to first. That is so horrific. That's so disappointing. So for me, I think it's an absolutely horrific contest today. So that is very disappointing. So I'm not actually playing the second $10 just because I just don't think that's worth the squeeze for me personally. And then I can just move that to tomorrow and fill the 15 and stuff. So I just cut the haircut. I just cut my hair. I just cut it like a week and a half ago, my guy. We just cut the hair. This is like the default. I'm like, this is way too short now. I'm naked at this point, man. I like my long hair. This is like the shortest you'll pretty much ever see me with hair here. What's going on, Nick? What's going on, Eagles? I went ahead and took the subscriber off conversation here just for today because we're pretty much just going to goof around and talk. Probably going to be live for like 20-ish minutes. I still got to finish at least my last 5 lines. I've been goofing around since Q. When we go ahead and look at the starting grid here, and I'll check the chat in a minute. When we're looking at the starting grid here, let me go ahead and remove 39th and 40th from the thing. This is what we're looking at, gentlemen. When we look at the guy starting 38th, we understand that the chalk is going to come through for this individual driver. We understand, realistically, he should be, and this is a big check or big proofread or whatever. If Sam is not the highest projected guy in any projection source you're using, already a big red flag. Should be projected as the highest scoring guy on the slate, just flat out. Yet again, I mean, I got the playlist. Maybe didn't go over it nearly as much as in this week's video as I normally do because I've said the same thing for the past 6 years. But when we're looking at a race like this, weather should not be in the forecast, or shouldn't be an issue, rather. Tomorrow, maybe late in the day, late in the race, whatever. Not really concerned about that. But when we look at the amount of carnage and wrecks and issues that drivers should run into, everybody in this race, whether it injure race or you just get minor damage from it, I used to say 65. It's closer to probably 75% chance that each individual driver will be involved in a wreck in some form or fashion. Now, whether that's terminal or just injury to the car, that's, in God's hands. But, close to 75% of these cars will receive damage, if not more, in this race when you run it. Okay, and so when we look at Sam, who should be projected the highest in any data source you're using, who should project as the best play, who should carry the highest amount of ownership in this field, what I've always done is not play that driver in the back. And I really cannot think of situations where it has absolutely murdered me. I really don't want my ownership to be lined up with where the field is, especially if that ownership lines up closer to where the DNF rate of each individual car is. So for me, when we identify, or what I'm doing here first is identifying where the population should go, we see that the guy starting 38th is a pretty horrific tournament play, in my opinion. I would advise you to not do that. I've said that before with Austin Hill in the back, with AJ, with Danny Hamlin. I'm nearly always going to fade the highest owned guy in the back of the field, especially in this situation here, to where everything should jam him in. I am absolutely not going to be playing the guy starting last today. When we look at people who, and not even people, when we look at the positions of where guys are coming in at with ownership, consistent people who are going to be running up front, who have a high likelihood of competing for the win later in this race. Yet again, that video I did earlier in the week basically hasn't really changed at all of how I view people and how they should approach it. The guy starting 25th or 26th should be a car that's going to compete to be up front in this race. And with a real worry of racing for stage points in this race, which is where we don't want our drivers to be. Where we're basically trying to pinpoint this thing backwards of identifying who's going to be up front and understanding we want none of those guys for when the wreck happens. Here, the guy starting 24th has a car and a team that wants him to run up front, has a teammate starting last. So we understand that these are pretty much the more popular area or the more popular plays in the back of the field that are there, not just on equipment wise, but like raw projections. Okay. Once we continue to go through that, we can start seeing like, oh, where are the people who normally start in the back that have a high percentage of finishing races that can usually get a top 15 or a top 20 in nearly any situation. That's when we start running into that's when we start running into people like the guy starting 33rd. And I'm being very aggressive here, but it's to identify where the ownership is going to go for these guys here. And so once we've identified these 5 drivers here, and why this is important is, yet again, if you're where I'm at, like if you're playing Austin Hill, feel free to pay the rake, stupid. You do you. I never advise playing anybody inside the top 12. So we can assume those are dead lineups and dead money if that happens. But when you start looking at people playing like, oh, I need 2 guys from the back of the field. Oh, I need, I'm going to do a 4-2 or whatever. And they see, oh, this is a good driver in the back. I'm going to play this guy. Oh, this is a consistent guy in the back. I'm going to play this guy. Okay. And then I'll play, some guys starting up in the front. Maybe I played like Sammy Smith starting 21st. And that's how they, get their lineups and stuff, especially when ownership will be heavily pushed to the guy starting dead last in this race because he blew his motor leaving pit lane. These are the areas that I would start being hesitant on having high ownership to. And I would implore you to start getting in the positions that aren't being as owned here. Like, for example, hey, when you got 2 guys who have pretty decent finishing positions and they typically run towards the back of the field, who's going to be probably low owned, pure tournament play, or not even tournament play, but pure game theory. The guy scrunched in between probably the 2 best backmarker guys in the field. Hey, man, shout out to our good old friend AO coming back on his first ever plate race. Like AO, like going to be a cornerstone of my shit. Who's going to be a guy that I want to target with, or who's going to be a guy that is going to be there who doesn't have the skill level to stay up front. Perfect example is Talladega. Now, I'm not saying this because he spun out on the last lap, but this is a great example of why I didn't play as much Joey Gaze at Talladega. Now, he started farther up front. That race turned into a wreck fest. So we had all the back marker guys finish up front at Talladega. And who spins out of the tri-oval and who is texting me at this time? It's not like nobody who knows me knows that I'm doing a show right now. I don't understand. Anywho, Joey Gaze starting last, teammate to AO. Absolutely no way Gaze has given AO the green light to go up there and destroy a race car. No way. AO doesn't have the skill. He doesn't have the ability. There's no way in hell Joey Gaze has given AO the green light to go up there and race. These guys should run the back of the field all day. Gonna be absolute slam dunk plays for me with what I'm building and what I'm trying to attack with. The Gaze Motorsports teams are where I'm at now. Past that, when we're looking at teams yet again, and it's the same thing I went over in the video. But when we're looking at guys who are going to pretty much ride in the back and not be stupid and not destroy their car all day, And like, shout out to this guy because he's actually like 19th in points or whatever. But Brennan Poole, okay, gonna ride in the back all day. Yet again, gonna be more popular of the shit guys in the back or the back markers because he's able to finish these races. He doesn't race stupid. What do you want to do with him? You probably want to play his teammate Ryan Ellis. These guys typically ride together. These guys understand what they're doing. Now Caesar's gonna do whatever he wants, but thank Christ alive that Caesar is starting 17th, so he's just not even in the conversation. Thank God. Caesar's going to do his own thing. I'm so happy we don't have to deal with him. Anytime Caesar starts the top 20, I'm always relieved because I don't have to worry about him. And I don't have to get nervous when he's running like 7th at the end of like stage 1 for whatever reason. But these 4 guys are probably the best plays on the slate for me, in my opinion. Past that, once we kind of, and yet again, I'm doing it this way because I'm imploring you to understand how I play this stuff, where it's, yeah, sure, I've unlocked these guys or I've unhid these guys, but it's all on it's all on projected ownership. It's all on what they are in relative to where the ownership is and where that'll come in at, and where the good plays are at. Okay, that's where we're at there. So let's go ahead and just highlight everybody else here so we can start seeing where people coming at here. The people that I have interest in, and this is where we look at Ellis, Gase, Kyle Sieg as well, Balicki. Like, we actually, and maybe this is a testament to how shitty this field is. Like, let's actually look at this field. Just of the guys highlight. We have, what is it? Oh man, what is that? 26 guys highlighted here. How many good drivers are on this list in the Xfinity series? Answer that for me here. Of everybody here, how many drivers are actually good? I'm hard pressed to find 4. Okay. Cole Custer, Shane. Is there anybody else who actually has a brain cell back here? I mean, I think the volatility of this race, and I mean, this might be the worst talent based Xfinity Series race we've had in a long time, especially from a DFS perspective of everybody back here, because there's so many idiot drivers back here. Okay. When you look at people like Jeffrey Earnhardt, Sammy Smith, Parker Kligerman, I don't see how they're not involved in a wreck. I don't know how Kligerman isn't racing up front all day. I don't know how he isn't involved in a crash. I don't know how Sammy Smith isn't involved in a crash. I don't know how Sam Mayer isn't involved in a crash. There are so many bad drivers here. So once we acknowledge that, once we understand where ownership will come in at, we understand that, I'm personally not attacking this place, but the ownership up here really doesn't matter a lot. And we start looking at where or what outs each driver has, I guess we could put it that way, who has a high likelihood of being there once the junior motorsports cars wreck themselves, once Sheldon Creed wrecks the Joe Gibbs cars when he throws a late block, when big country Austin Hill is controlling the race, trying being big dick Austin Hill, and causes a checkup that wrecks 4th through 8th place. Who are the fast cars and the teams that should be able to then inherit a position inside the top 10 of the people starting the back of the field? Okay, those people are, because like, here, we'll highlight these guys. Like, I'm not playing Sammy Smith. I'm not playing Sam Mayer. I'm personally not playing them. Ryan Sieg comes into play in that situation. Yet he gets good carry ownership for that reason, but in line to inherit a top 10 running position once the guys up front come out of the race. Matt DiBenedetto, real contender to win this race straight up. Just how it is. I think he's going to compete for the win. If he's involved in the early wreck, like, that's just what's going to happen. That's the part of the variance here. But Matt DiBenedetto is going to be up there. Gustine, as I said, absolute weapon Gustine. I don't know how he isn't out of this race in a wreck. There's absolutely no way he either doesn't side suck somebody around or get side sucked if he's on the inside lane and loops it out of 4. Real concern with Gustine here. But when you start looking at Ryan Sieg, Matt DiBenedetto, hey, who's their teammate who's probably going to be with them? Kyle Sieg, So once we've looked at this race, I mean, there's really not a reason to get to people like Leland, really not a reason to get to people like wildly off the beaten path like Weatherman. Like the the field really start like I'm not playing Patrick starting 23rd. I don't need that type of risk when I'm already getting off the beaten path with Sam and or fading Sam, fading the two Sams actually. And so once we're here, I'm not playing SVG, but realistically, like this should be the pool that you play with. It should be Shane, Jeb, Jeffrey, Jordan, Ryan, Gustine, DeBenedetto, Perkins, CJ, Poole, AO, Balicki, Kyle C, Gase, Ellis, and Tim Veens. Tim Veens is around a 4-cylinder car, and you better believe I'm going to have 20% of Tim Veens today. What are we doing? What are we doing? People know that it's not like the time changes. Everybody, my friends, family, they know I work like at this time. Why do you call me at 5:30 when I like what are we doing? I got to get back to like 4 people after this. Um, but this is the pool. Pray to God these idiots up here decide to, wreck and tear shit up, and that's gonna be the path to get there. If they don't do that, then it doesn't happen. Real chance, I will say, higher than normal chance that these guys wreck for last today. Like this is bad. Uh, I would not be shocked if Gus Dean self spins himself from 24th in the back of the field wrecks today. Like absolutely in the cards. Patrick Emily, absolutely. He's normally in the other gay's car. Very rare circumstances. He's had a car fast enough to run up front on his own accord. Real dangerous situation there with Patrick. Caesar going to be up front. These idiots up here trying to fight their way to the playoffs. Parker, I mean, if anything, my only take is that Parker is going to be involved in a crash. And I think Klickerman causes a crash today. Like, this guy's already having to race for more with the stupid penalty. Like, this is just a disaster from Klickerman's point of view. Joe Graf Jr. in 4th. You kidding me over here? Like, what are we doing? So now that we've kind of all said that, I think this is pretty much a best case scenario from a game theory's perspective for a stack from the back approach. All these guys are pretty shitty. We know where the chalk's going to be, and even then, like even this chalk isn't that important. It's probably these 3 guys. You can argue that Anderson will carry chalk as well, but that's not necessarily a huge concern. But this is pretty much the golden standard for what we want out of a Q session for this Xfinity series in this race. We'll see what you guys are saying, and then we'll probably end up paying off pretty soon. We got 55 minutes until the slate locks. I'll be around for probably another 5 as I read the chat. If you guys have any questions, we can talk about those drivers specifically, but past that, don't know if I'm going to have much from there. 85 you guys watching here. Thank you. I'm glad you like the Ty Dillon shirt. Of course, Nick. Let's see. I just meant to, let's see. Oh, yeah. Like, college. I mean, I don't know. Is there college football tonight that's holding that? Maybe that's why. Maybe tomorrow. I don't know. I mean, this is a pretty shitty contest. I'm very, very sad. Let me go ahead and take this off now because we don't necessarily see that. So you just look at me. Let's see. I play, contrary to most players, these are the heaviest weekends of my entire year. A lot of people play less. A lot of people don't embrace the volatility. This is where I like, honestly, between like the 4 plate races, my year is honestly made or broke on that every season. Already won 1. So that's huge, which really sucks because usually there's 3 20K to win Xfinity Series contest year. There's only 2 on the plate races this year. Very fortunate to win one of them, but I'm so pissed off about how bad this contest is. But I typically play more here. Let's see. I have 0 in the top 20. Nope, nope, nope. That's how you should play it, Pope. Just left track driving over. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, we're gonna look fine. I haven't been concerned at all. If you notice, I haven't really been worried about weather at all. At times, I mean, Rhett's law. Where's Parker starting 15th? Can't. I wouldn't do it. Wouldn't do it. Just play Anderson if you want. Also, just real fast, what do you think? What do you think Big Country Austin Hill lands in ownership today? It's got to be at least like 22, right? There's no way it's under that. It's probably not over 24, but it's got to be like right at 22. Like those guys are paying the rate. That's crazy. Um, you start going through the last Daytona Xfinity Series race, you start noticing very few people were around in 22, much less up front. Oh yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I spend hell a majority of this offseason was just pulling old data for Daytona and stuff to try and use for Atlanta and stuff. Like I love these races for DFS. This is probably my favorite type of stuff because it's all, and I mean, I hand build everything. This is one where I would not trust optimizers at all. I cannot implore you to hand build on your own. I've never. I mean, there's some people with their own sims who have done it. A lot of smart people, but I have never been able to understand how I would trust the sim in a race like this, especially when I have projections that I almost have to make it ignore to even build correctly. Like it's easy to find ownership here, but projections wise, like the optimizers are just horrible for races like this. What else? How much left over is my cheapest? Well, I can't say that because it starts getting specific. I'm not going to tell you the exact number, but I got several 17s, 16s, 15s, 12s. I mean, watch my videos. You know how it's going to be. Salary doesn't matter. If anything, leave the most salary on the table is possible because we don't. Let me check. Let me look at the back here. Yeah, I would just hesitate on like not forcing in Leland to get min salary, but past that, you want to leave pretty much as much salary on the table, pretty much. And I think that's about it, man. I think we're covered there. And 85 of you guys here watching this, I do appreciate it. But I think I'll let you guys go, and we'll talk Cup Series tomorrow, probably 11 a.m. Eastern time. And what else? Yeah, I guess I'll see you tomorrow. Let's just hope for Rex. Let's hope we get some big flips. Let's put some guys in the catch fence. Let's show NASCAR that removing that grass was stupid. Hopefully we can just barrel roll more guys down that back straightaway. And I think that's about ballpark. I just did, dog. Brother man, I just did. 12K, 12,000, 16,000, 15,000, 12,000, 10,000, 8,000. Doesn't matter. That fucking the stupid F1, dude. Oh man, dude. I'm so disinterested in F1 right now. I really don't want to even. Thank God it's Friday. I'd be so annoyed if I had to make some F1 lines tonight. I think Q's 8 a.m. my time tomorrow, so we'll see. We'll see what happens. And then the truck race for 10K. Geez, why do the trucks have to run Milwaukee on just to give them the off week, dude? Who cares about Milwaukee? That track sucks. But anyway, I will let you guys go. See you guys tomorrow. Best of luck in the lives tonight. See